Welcome to the Premium Mindset, the weekly podcast where homegrown entrepreneurs and business owners, Evan Ritchey and Cameron Bawden, share the good, the bad, and the ugly of modern entrepreneurship and reveal what really happens behind the scenes of their personal and professional lives. As owners of two of America's fastest growing and most disruptive companies, Coconut Cleaning and Green Mango Pest Control, stay tuned for real stories, struggles, insight, and advice from real entrepreneurs in real time.
I am fired up for today's podcast. Get the pun? Okay. Because today we're talking about fires in the business, which is why I'm so fired up.
You have a small fire.
I have a small sense of humor towards this topic right now because it's one of those times in my life where people just say like, hey, like, why are you laughing? It's like, it's all you can do right now. And so it's very timely for us to talk about small fires, big fires, and everything in between. It's kind of like if you're in a bad situation as a kid and you look to your parent and they're giving their first indication that like, hey, we're in a bad situation. You're like, oh, crap. I'd relate this to when I was with you on the helicopter. And this is how I've looked up to you. We get in your helicopter, tiny, by the way. And we're flying over to Flagstaff. Okay, we're flying to Flagstaff and we experience a little turbulence. Who is like very familiar, like unfamiliar with flying in a helicopter, I like got a little scared. And I looked at you and you were so calm. And about 10 minutes later, after we got through it, I said, dude, I was actually scared back there, but it seemed everything was fine by your face. You're like, actually, if we were going down about the crash, you wouldn't know it from me because I wouldn't want you panicking. Let's relate that to business. I've always looked to you and I've said, Cameron.
I like the tie-in, man.
Yeah, I said, Cameron, we're okay because you seem calm. The last 30 to 60 days, I've seen a look on your face where I'm like, man, this comes from a guy who said, if we were about to crash, you wouldn't even know it. I'm like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but something is not all right with how we're doing business and current economic climate. And I've turned to you and I looked at you and I said, man, Cameron doesn't look the same. So with that being said, what's going on with you and the topic of fires in the business and in life in general?
A principle that I've lived by as a leader is that you have the hard conversations with people behind closed doors. And then when you go out to the group, to the masses, you have to act like everything's great.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason why I didn't share numbers with a lot of people, because for a lot of years, the numbers weren't great. But I wanted them to see that, hey, we're this big, huge, giant company. We're premium. Everything's fine. And I don't know if it's the right move, but one thing that I've tried to do, especially for you as my partner, is that one of the roles that I've taken on as your business partner is to take on all finances. Hey, Evan, you go do your thing. You take care of the people. You show up happy. You make sure the technicians are good. Like, you run the day to day. I'll make sure like we're good, that we can make payroll. And the past couple months, it's been an intentional thought for me that it's almost a mistake. And I don't know where the right balance is. And I'm talking to you, but I know it transcends to managers as well. And being vulnerable with them with everything that's going on. Because if you just hide it, then no one can help. And no one can feel the pressure. So one of the things that I've done with you the past couple months is I've let you know the struggles. Hey, Coconuts needed money for payroll. And I'm at a point where I'm not going to keep funding it. Like, we need to figure out how we go. Like, right. We either need to make some pay changes. We need to cut down on marketing. We need to, whatever it is, but you and I need to go to the drawing board and make some changes. I hate putting that pressure because I've seen your look differently the past 30 days. And that's the look that I haven't wanted to put on any of my partners or any of my managers. But there's some kind of balance that I'm trying to figure out, that you want people to know enough to where there's a little bit more emphasis on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess I want to go a little bit deeper, because I'm talking, and I want people to understand, I'm talking to someone who takes a game of pickleball. If a game of pickleball is on the line, he takes it as seriously as he does business, as he does his family, as he does his spiritual life, and you don't budge. So if I think we were down 7-0 in pickleball, and I'm looking at you, I'm like,
You and I
dude,
were down 7-0?
yeah, we put some like $50 on the line.
Yeah.
I forgot who I was with, but I looked to you, I'm like, freak, man, if we give it another point, that's gonna be very hard to come back. You're like, dude, we got this. So I'm talking to someone who over the last 6 years in different times and different settings has said, dude, we got this. I would say in the last 60 days, the tempo kind of changed. And so what I see happening outside looking in is that a man has been met with external circumstances that meet his current internal capacity to deal with. And I've seen a different side of you that I haven't seen before, and it's refreshing for me. But I want you to speak to that. Like, what are some of the things that come to mind that have made you feel like I've met my match for my battle right now?
I've thought about the principle, and I've shared this with you, is that people don't know what they have until it's gone.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, even though we talk about it, we give a training on it, you still don't really grasp it until it's gone. A lot of people, they don't have their dad or mom still around. And a guy can literally, like when I gave the training 2 weeks ago, one of the technicians was literally right there. He said, I would do anything to go to lunch with my dad today. And it's like, wow, man, like I felt his passion, I felt his energy, and I felt his buy-in. I didn't call my dad that week to go to lunch.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what's so crappy about it. So with business is that people have this perception that everything's okay. And that's the fine line that I want people to know what they have. And that's why I've been harping on talking about, and I'll answer your question of like the problems.
Yeah, I was like, you're still dodging the question. We're gonna pull it out of you.
But this is like the problem is that if you don't take care of the company, which is one of the problems, is that this past year we've given raises to everybody because I felt horrible about how I feel the pain at the income that I have, let alone someone that makes less than me. Of like, I felt that pressure, groceries, insurance, gas. I mean, qualifying for a house. That's out the door for a lot of people now with the interest rates. We pulled back on our office building, which was a huge blow. We've spent over, I think, $300,000 on our plans. We've paid designers, and it's just, and we bought the lot and it's ready to go. Literally, plans are approved. And because of interest rates have jumped so high, we're not doing it. And I felt that pressure. So we gave raises to every single person this last year because I want to take care of the people. But then my main frustrations this past couple months has been whenever we get approval, and it's not at our CFO, but I take a lot of direction from him of, hey, we can afford this or we can't afford this. But the frustrations have been that I feel like we've gone to him for everything. And then when it's 911, hey, this company can't make payroll, we go to him and say, but we're hitting all these indicators that you told us to do. And it's, oh, but I didn't figure for this. A big thing right now is cash flow. A lot of our bills hit at the beginning of the month. So speaking Green Mango.
Yeah, quickly explain that.
So as a company, we have our bills as well. Health insurance, truck payments, our rent on our office, just all of our cogs, right? They hit at the beginning of the month. So
like
every
80% of your expenses occur in the first week of the month.
Yeah, so just to get, like, if we want to get deep here, Green Mango will do $2 million a month in revenue. $1.2 million comes out of our account before the 3rd of the month. Well, if you have payroll on the 7th or the 5th and you haven't saved enough money from the last month and you sure as heck haven't serviced enough customers that first month,
yeah,
you're in our payrolls sometimes $450,000 bi-weekly. It's almost $900,000 a month. We're cutting it tight, man. And that's frustrating for me, especially because of all the things that come, all the fires that come up. You know, a couple months ago, all the employees were like, hey, we hate our desk. We hate these chairs. They're old. Okay, well, of course we want to take care of the employees. We want to get, you know, we've spent, I think it was almost 40 grand on new office furniture, getting them nice desks. That, because one of their requests was, hey, we like to stand some part of the day. We like to sit, so we want the desks that raise up and down. It's like, okay, let's take care of the people buying those desks. They're more expensive than an average desk. Oh, they like this seat because it's got extra cushion. Well, that's an extra $30 more. Well, we got 60 people in the, you know, 40 people, however many. Those things add up. So that's what's frustrating for me is, although we could have the best CFO, there's always going to be something that comes up. And that's what's been deflating for me the past couple months. You know, Agave, our windshield company, it's like we were killing it in Florida. We get limited by how much we can charge a customer. At Green Mango Coconut, we can just raise our rates to keep up with the economy. At Agave, the insurance companies dictate how much we can charge.
Wow. And
it's basically nothing. Well, we were going to Florida because they didn't have any laws about how much we could charge. We were charging a fair rate, but nonetheless, we're charging, you know, what it takes to run a good business.
Yeah.
We do $600,000 in revenue in like 3 or 4 months. Well, a law changed that basically froze all assets. So there's literally 600 grand sitting in AR in Florida because of a law that has been changed, and it's under investigation of figuring out, you know, how the new set of billing is going to happen. That stuff you can't plan for that.
Here's what I want to do though, because again, I'm the emotional guy in this partnership, and I feel like I cry maybe every other day, maybe every day. But
no, you don't. Like twice a day.
Yeah, twice a day. What I'm trying to get at is you spoke about a few external things that have come up, but what is it about the current microclimate of your world, Agave, Coconut, payroll, cash flow, employee appreciation, employees going over budgets, people not reporting back to you from accountability perspective? What is it about
that might be the biggest one that frustrates me the most?
Okay, well, let's talk about that. What is it about the current economic climate of Cameron's life that has caused you to say, I have kind of met my match for what I'm able to deal with, and I'm going to be okay letting people see a little bit more emotion because it's just coming organically. I've seen some things the last couple of days, and I'm not gonna bring it out. But what I'm saying is that something about this, you've always dealt with fires, from business partners to businesses not really working. But I need people to hear this, because I told you yesterday, and you said this yesterday. We had yesterday we had a little moment. We were kind of both slouched in our chairs in your office. And I said, dude, I respect you, because if I would have the same payout opportunities or company selling opportunities as you, I'm not sure I would sign up for this for another 5 years. And I told you, I said, the last 2 months, for the first time in my entrepreneurial journey, has sucked, and I've hated it. And I have not liked coming to work, and I haven't enjoyed doing the things, and this is going to sound pretentious. I haven't enjoyed my life as much, and we just had a little moment, and I know again that there's a lot going on. You've always dealt with fires, so you can speak to them individually, Agave. But what is it about this current time that has kind of pushed you to say, hey, maybe it's imposter syndrome. Like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is super uncomfortable for me, because I've always wanted to, you know, portray that everything's fine. And that's where when I feel like, you've never said that in 6 years, and you've gone through some shit, you know, and it's like, I can't help but think like the only reason why you're feeling that way is because like I've shared the burden of payroll on you. And I hate that, because then you can't do what Evan does. And that is make sure people feel like you're different, and you can try and mask it all you want, but at the end of the day, like it hits hard. I think what's different right now is, you know, the buyout that just happened with Dusty, a lot of pressure to hit my numbers.
Where's that pressure come from?
Just personal pressure.
Okay.
Just wanting to, like, if I am going to double down and invest another 5 years, it's, you know, it's more sacrifice time away from my family. And Liz has already, you know, sacrificed so much. And she's even brought that up, like, because she can tell. And so there's that. But when it rains, it pours. Like, it seems like the past, like 3 months ago, everything was literally perfect. I remember thinking, and I think I said it on a podcast, I don't know if it was ours or another one, but I was like, things are going so great right now that I'm scared because something bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's just life as an entrepreneur, and we talked about that. Like, that's our job as an owner, to expect the fires. If you come to work thinking that everything's going to be bliss and then you get upset when something happens, you need to manage your expectations. So I come to work like hoping there's fires, but I just don't like bonfires.
Yeah.
And what's been hard the past 3 months is that, like, all 3 companies have been stressful in different ways. We've hired an auditor, and me being OCD and like a perfectionist, the amount of things that she's brought out has almost been unhealthy for me, because it's so frustrating with all the managers that we have in place. That, once again, going back to, do we pay more than everyone else? We live by the rule of 7. I will not have more than 7 people in a department without someone taking care of them. And that comes at a huge premium. And then if that guy's not doing his job, it's almost unbearable for me. And that's been the hardest thing with all of it. And they've just all hit at once. And that's when I feel like, dude, like, this is so freaking heavy. And I know, like, the only thing that helps me get through it is the principle that I talk about, that Mark taught me, is everything always works out. And although that doesn't make you just like flip around, it makes you understand, like, everything works out, and come to work every single day and just start chipping away at every single thing. And I've been reminded of how important your personal sacred rhythms are. I was in Florida 2 weeks ago, so I couldn't do my normal workout routine. I couldn't do the ice bath. The week after, I was sick, so I wasn't going to the gym. You're not supposed to, at least a year.
Yeah.
And I completely fell off my routine, man. And this morning was the first time in probably 2.5 weeks where I like did the ice bath. And I came up out of the ice bath this morning, and I was just like, oh, this is comfort. This is home. And when you're going through those times, either start creating those rhythms that you know will make you happy, or double down on the rhythms that you had. Hopefully you had them before you're going through this. And that's what's going to help. That's what's helping me right now. But like, it's all good, but it's heavy, you know?
Bottom line is, entrepreneurship, it's not that it's not for everyone, but if you keep looking to these Instagram people that say, hey, just do this, this, and this, and, you know, you're set for life, passive income. There's this current trend of people saying, like, I didn't want to get up and shoot a video, but I realized that it's made me $251,000 in the last 2 days. I'm like, huh? But it's hard, and it's really hard. And a lot of people pay heavy prices to have their business. And I feel like the weight of entrepreneurship for me has not been heavier. But here's what I will say is that those fires that you've dealt with for years, the best way that you can handle those is to mitigate them from happening again. And that is the ultimate compliment for me, coming from you, to allow me to take coconut and you say, hey man, I'm like, dude, I have this really good idea. You're like, don't do that. I've already done that. And so I've learned so much from your mistakes that I haven't had to go through some of the similar growing pains, because you say, hey, we tried this year 2, year 3, trust me, it just doesn't work. Or, hey, you're coddling that employee too much. They're going to expect too much for you year 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're going to get burned. And what sticks out to me and where I've learned a lot from you is, I think one of the most difficult things to observe for me is when I see you take care of tenured employees. I'm talking like 4 years plus, 5 years plus, and you have done things for them that you haven't done for anyone. You haven't done for me. And
is this your plug, man?
Yeah. And at the very, I say at the very end of their time here, just because it comes to that, what really happens is you've showed me that, hey, you're going to do a lot for people, and I've observed outside looking in, and you're still probably going to get burned. And I've watched people who have received a boat from you, who have received pay raise after pay raise, and who have had like a very, very long leash as far as what, like anyone looking at their job. And what that's done for me at Coconut is I've taken a look at these people that have been here 3-4 years, and I've done, I think, a decent job at keeping them at arm's length so that the respect is still there for, hey, I love you. I appreciate you. I'm glad you've been here this long. We still have a lot more to get done.
Yeah.
We're just getting started. Because I've watched those people say, Cam, like, I was there day one. I built this company with you. And it's like, true. But then they expect so much in return. It's like, I can't do that for you. I'm sorry that there was any misunderstanding. And so
I just want to say one thing very quickly, and that's one of the hardest parts. As you know, you have your people, the Andrews, the Sherrys. At some point, that position can only pay so much, and it's not that you don't want to pay more; it's that the numbers just don't work.
Right.
And that was really difficult for me because, and the only way that I've been able to, I guess, cope with it is that, hey, if I want to be a billionaire, that's extremely difficult to do as a pest control owner.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking to these people that have been with me for such a long time, at some point you want to help them take the next step. And that's why I always love telling people that if you're here for a career path, great. We want to make you the best version of yourself. If you're here for 6 months and then you're going to go somewhere else, I want you to look back and say, Green Mango helped me, or Coconut helped me catapult me to the next level. And I think that's the ultimate form of leadership. But I've made the mistake, maybe you've almost made the mistake because you've learned from me, is paying more than you should, expecting less than anyone else. And it's just this constant hard battle. And you got to take care of the company first, or else no one will have a job.
Yeah.
And I think that's apparent at $1 million in revenue or $10 million in revenue. And I know it's apparent at $24 million in revenue, because at the end of the day, every single person matters and what they're getting paid.
Yeah. It's the epitome of, you know, when you're on the plane about to take off, they say, if the oxygen masks drop, put on yours first.
Yeah.
Before you help anybody else. And I think that's the same in business. You know, I'd say my takeaways for, you know, fires, especially as I look at, hey, we have a lot of fires going on.
What fires have you avoided because of what you've learned from me? I'm just curious. Like, I've let you into Green Mango. You came in deep a year ago. I was like, bro, tell me what's missing. I'm sure you did find a lot of stuff, but what was the one thing that you were like, okay, I can see this happening. Like, it's the beginning stage at Coconut. I need to go change it.
Write it down.
That is when people make commitments, or what?
Okay. This is like what blows my mind away. So I would say in the first 2 months,
my socks off.
Yeah. Well, your wallet too. The first 2 months being at Green Mango, I had more people say, I was promised blank. And I'm like, Cameron, the previous guy, and you know, you guys apparently promised so many. Like, I have a list right now of this employee that I'm working with who said I was promised a jersey,
a year ago, or
a
today?
hat. So this is right now that he was promised a year or two ago. People keep track. People keep record. And so don't feel bad as a small business owner or any business owner to write your people up, because they're keeping track.
They're writing you up.
They're writing you up. It's just not on paper. And so I get in here as this like, oh, I don't know, pest control team, tell me. And they're like, yeah, before we get into that, I was promised a jersey and never got it. I'm like, oh my gosh, when? They're like 2 years ago. I'm like, I want that jersey. Okay. So I have Sabina. I am terrible at writing stuff down, but she writes everything down. When we promise something, I write it down. And a little tactic I've been taught is that when people are asking for something, a pay raise, or they feel like, hey, I've had a lot that I've taken on of hats that this wasn't on my job description that I now wear. Can you write those down and send it over to me? So what that does is that kind of puts the responsibility on them that this is important to me. Can you write that down in an email and send it to me? So the biggest thing in partnership agreements to promises from you to your people to you, write it down. I'd say that has saved me from more headaches that I've seen from Green Mango than ever. And so when I say, hey guys, hey Cole, when you promise some people hey, whoever gets this sale, little staycation, follow through and write it down and make sure that it's completely understood for what it takes to get that thing.
As we're talking about like weight over the past 3 months, I think that's one thing that bothers me too. And you as a business owner, you can't let it bother you. So I know I'm in the wrong here. But when those people bring up a $80 jersey, a $50 hat, and I think about the large amount of mistakes that they've made, it's probably $10,000, $20,000 per person. And like, bro, I was being kind to you and didn't write you up or didn't hold this over your head. And I guess my request, like if employees are listening to this, is that our intentions are pure. Whatever we promise you, the incentive that we want to give you, we want to pay that out. But for whatever reason, and as companies grow, and for our reason, like we weren't organized. And so when we make an incentive, is, who knows who's paying it out or tracking it. And there, since we've created systems and processes to be more organized and intentional with those things, but like cut your employer a break. He's doing his best. Bring it to their attention. They'll probably pay out on it. I feel like we've always paid out on it. But look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, am I providing everything that I've promised as like the first bottom tier, whatever that might be in your organization, just starting out? Like, have I done everything I can for this guy? I'm asking him for $200. Have I costed him $500, $1,000? Most cases it's probably yes. And that's I don't know, that gets under my skin big time.
Yeah. And I maybe to wrap up the idea or topic of fires and its ripple effect into business and the importance of, when you're interacting with your employees and, making sure you're writing stuff down, is that everybody's fighting a battle that we really can't see. Your employers are, the employees are. And so I think creating an environment where people feel like they can come, put in an honest day's work, where they clearly have laid out what their responsibilities are. And at the end of the day, like they have someone to like talk to. I think these are some of the most important things. And then as fires come up, you start generating like a little fire station of a bunch of firefighters who know how to handle them with you. And that's one of the coolest things that comes together is learning about 10 fires that never even got to your desk because people have watched you do it and they put them out for you.
No, I love it, man. And it's important, like when the fires are happening, in my tendency, and you've been so great about this, so thank you, is that like you can't come in and just freaking lay all 10 departments down on everybody.
Yeah.
Meet with the individual, start working one by one, and don't let like your weight be flopped onto everyone else.
Yeah. Don't project about other departments or other frustrations. You have to isolate the fire and deal with that one by one.